What's up, all you beautiful seekers out there? This is Aaron from Tatanka and Tatanka Enterprises, and this is finally the continuation of the Rawcast. And in this episode, we are continuing right where we left off. We're going to jump right into session 13. And as you can see, Desiree is not with me, and that's probably how it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
You are listening to a cassette recording of a channeling session from the Raw Contact, a series of 106 sessions that were conducted between 1981 and 1984, using a form of tuned trance telepathy. Throughout these sessions, a group of entities identified as Ra shared information regarding the Law of One, spiritual evolution, and a variety of esoteric topics through a series of questions and answers. The full text transcript of these recorded sessions can be read for free at lnlresearch.org, where you can also learn more about this audio and its origins. This recording is intended for personal study and is not available for commercial use. Please contact LNL Research if you wish to use this audio in any other way.
Session number 13, January 29th, 1981.
Greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. I communicate now.
First thing I would like to do is apologize for the stupid questions that I asked about switching what we should do. Consider what we're doing. Really privilege to be also messengers of love. This kind of belief is why we create this book. It's to start at the beginning. Creation. All of the evolution. And the evolution. Present moment. At all times. Investigating how the law of one is used. I think also that it's a good idea to arrange the book, putting quite a bit of material that we have already here at the end of the book, and doing some. I would also suggest the title of the book, The Law of One. I'd like to say it as an altered law. Would you agree to this?
I am Ra. Your query is unclear. Would you please state as separate queries each area of agreement
first, you want to start at the beginning, creation, as far back as you can go. Follow the development of man, the rest of the time.
I am Ra. This is completely your discernment, understanding, decision.
Secondly, I learned the title of the book, The Law of One, by Allah. This is
I am Ra. The title of the book is acceptable. The authorship by vibratory sound complex Ra is in our distortion of understanding incomplete. We are messengers.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read through session 13. As you already saw, I will continue adding some clips of the actual sessions that took place. Kind of get you into the mood of what's going on and how crazy this whole experience was. So that is still going to happen. And I will read through the entirety of the session. And I will provide, kind of some of my insights along the way if I have anything to say or any, experiences or anything like that. The important thing to remember is you need to not necessarily only listen to what I have to say, but this is a very open text and it is widely open to interpretation. There are a few great I guess you can kind of say official interpretations that are out there, and it'll all be on LNL Research's website. I will put links in the descriptions as well. And then, of course, I'll have the link to the actual session video on YouTube from their channel. Hopefully those continue to be available. All of this is available for free on their website because it's very important that this gets out there, and that's really my intention here, is to just put it out there, get the recognition, not really recognition I guess, but just have it be known. And I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this are familiar with Aaron Abke, who was pretty big in it and has a lot to do on it. He has all of his things that he does, and there are a lot of people out there that consider this piece to be very important, including A Course in Miracles, which may be something that I do in the future. But for right now, let's go ahead and jump into session 13. This happened on January 29th in 1981. And we're just going to go ahead and start where it starts. Ra states, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite creator. I communicate now. Questioner. First thing I would like to do is apologize for the stupid questions that I've asked while searching for what we should do. I consider what we are doing a great honor and privilege to be also humble messengers of the Law of One, and at this time believe that the way to prepare this book is to start at the beginning of creation, following the evolution of man, and the evolution of man on earth, to the best of my, and then it says inaudible, we're assuming ability or something like that. At all times, investigating how the Law of One was used, another inaudible statement. I think also that I need to finish the book, let the material that we have already carry the end of the book, and then more inaudible. I would also suggest the title of the book, The Law of One. I'd like to state as the author Ra. Would you agree to this? So this is kind of interesting. You'll notice in some of these texts here that there's a lot of inaudible things. We've talked about this in the past because this was recorded in the 80s with very primitive technology. If you want more information on this, I definitely recommend getting the audiobook that is read by the members here, because it kind of fills in some of the gaps. The inquiries here are also kind of curious to me as well. I found it kind of cool that they were seeking permission about some of the information they want to do for the book. Ra responds, I am Ra. Your query is unclear. Would you please state, as separate queries, each area of agreement? Yeah, I can get that there's, difficulties in communication sometimes. Question. First, I'd like to start at the beginning of creation, as far back as we can go, and follow the development of man to the present time. Is this agreeable? Ra responds, I am Ra. This is completely your discernment, understanding, decision. Question. Secondly, I would like to title the book, The Law of One by Ra. Is this agreeable? Ra responds, I am Ra. The title of the book is acceptable. The authorship by Vibratory Sound Complex Ra is, in our distortion of understanding, incomplete. We are messengers. Nice thing about this text is they have subnotes down here. And what it says is the original transcripts from the cassette recordings were published in 4 books under the title The Law of One. A 5th book containing fragments omitted from books 1 through 4, along with accompanying commentary from Carla and Jim, was published years later in 1998. See the re-listening report at the end of the book. At the end of this book, information about how the new transcripts were produced, and consequently this book, the Ra Contact, published. Questioner. Can you state who then should author the book? Ra responds, I can only request that if your discernment/understanding suggests the use of this vibratory sound complex Ra, the phrase, and humble messenger of the Law of One, be appended. Questioner. Thank you. Can you tell me the earliest, first known thing in the creation? So, Ra, being, humble as they are, is very clear that they are not the author of what is being shared. They are merely messengers. And that's kind of a big deal, because then, that's placing ownership, and you can't own, creation, really. Ra. I am Ra. The first known thing in the creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Questioner. From this infinity, then, must have come what we experience as creation. What was the next step or the next evolvement? Infinity, it's clear. It's very obvious in what's being said, but it's also kind of opaque at the same time, which is a lot of these paradoxes that Ra eventually, has stated multiple times within this, that don't exist anymore in their their density of consciousness. I am Ra. Infinity became aware. This was the next step. So, literally everything, so infinity, endless everything, became aware. Question. After this, what happened? Ra. Awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. You have called this by various vibrational sound complexes, the most common to your ears being logos, or love. The Creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware or conscious principle called by us, as closely as we can create understanding/learning, in your language, intelligent infinity. So the energy that is infinity is the energy of love, which is also logos in other languages. Logos also is in relation to like suns and planets, and there's all these sub-logi that go along with that. Questioner, can you state the next step? Ra, the next step is still at this space-time nexus in your illusion, achieving its progression as you may see it in your illusion. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle following the law of one, in one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus, many, many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity due first to the outpouring of randomized creative force. This then creating patterns which, in holographic style, appear as the entire creation, no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize. Sorry about that. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize their own local, shall we say, rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. So the next step in all of creation is what's been happening, is what is being experienced by all of us here. Questioner, then can you tell me how the galaxy and this planetary system were formed? Ra, I am Ra. You must imagine a great leap of thought in this query, for at the last query, the physical, as you call it, universes were not yet born. The energies moved in increasingly intelligent patterns until the individualization of various energies emanating from the creative principle of intelligent infinity became such as to be co-creators. Thus, the so-called physical matter began. The concept of light is instrumental in grasping this great leap of thought, as this vibrational distortion of infinity is the building block of that which is known as matter. The light being intelligent and full of energy, thus being the first distortion of intelligent infinity, which was called by the creative principle. This light of love was made to have in its occurrences of being certain characteristics, among them the infinite whole paradoxically described by the straight line, as you would call it. This paradox is responsible for the shape of the various physical illusion entities you call solar systems, galaxies, and planets, all revolving and tending towards the lenticular. Questioner, I think I made an error in asking that question, getting ahead of the process that you were describing. Would it be helpful to fill in that great leap that I mistakenly made? I am Ra. I attempted to bridge the gap. However, you may question me in any manner you deem appropriate. Here's another thing to keep in mind. We've talked about this before. Ra does not just give openly. I mean, they do, but it's more they give openly in response to the question being asked. Were it not to disrupt freedom of will. So they do their best to answer as clearly as possible, as distinctly as possible, as just as clear as they can interpret in our language the answers to these questions, but will not infringe on free will, and also will not give an answer that has not been queried. It's a very interesting dynamic that is great. And once they get in a groove, which you'd think session 13, yeah, they'd be in a groove. There's hundreds. It starts to work out beautifully, and there's a lot of amazing things that comes from this. Questioner, could you tell me, taking the question previous to the one that I asked about galaxy and planets, would you tell me the next step that occurred after that step? Ra responds, I am Ra. The steps, as you call them, are, at the point of question, simultaneous and infinite. So another thing about how everything is always happening at the same time. It's difficult to kind of perceive that in our existence, right? Like everything, everyone, everything is all happening at the same time. And that's because we have this illusion of the progression of time, where it's very much made clear in a straight line. But that is just inherently, according to this, untrue. And it leads into the realm of like some of the memes you see out there, like Doctor Who, where it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. But everything, all of existence is happening at the same time. Every version of you, every version of me, every version of this galaxy, every dimension, it's all happening simultaneously. Everything that was, has been, or will be already is. It's wild. Questioner, could you tell me how intelligent infinity became, shall we say? I'm having difficulty with some of the language. How intelligent infinity became individualized from itself? Ra responds, I am Ra. This is an appropriate question. The intelligent infinity discerned a concept. This concept was discerned due to freedom of will, of awareness. This concept was finity. This was the first and primal paradox or distortion of the law of one. Thus, the one intelligent infinity invested itself in an exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. Questioner, was the galaxy that we are in created by the infinite intelligence, or was it created by a portion of the individualized infinite intelligence? I am Ra. The galaxy and all other things of material of which you are aware are products of individualized portions of intelligent infinity. As each exploration began, it, in turn, found its focus and became co-creator. Using intelligent infinity, each portion created an universe, and, allowing the rhythms of free choice to flow, playing with the infinite spectrum of possibilities, each individualized portion channeled the love light into what you might call intelligent energy, thus creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. Each universe, in turn, individualized to a focus, becoming, in turn, co-creator and allowing further diversity, thus creating further intelligent energies, regularizing or causing natural laws to appear in the vibrational patterns of what you would call a solar system. Thus, each solar system has its own, shall we say, local coordinate system of illusory natural laws. It shall be understood that any portion, no matter how small, of any density or illusory pattern contains, as in a holographic picture, the one creator, which is infinity. Thus all begins and ends in mystery. So a lot of this is saying to me, this gets into the realms of like the logos and the sub-logos, where each thing creates something else. So the sun becomes co-creator and creates the planets in the solar system, and then the planets create the nature and the creatures on the planet. And then the laws, the natural laws that happen in these different ecosystems, one could say. These different worlds. And this also applies in different dimensions of existence as well. Like, there's so much going on that it is impossible for the human mind to comprehend. Yeah, we can somewhat understand infinity, but the fact that the universe itself is literally limitless, and literally all of that is happening right now, is not only mind-blowing, but just the way it is according to this. So this whole response here is literally discussing how the intelligent energy of the infinite creator at the beginning wanted to experience itself in every imaginable way. And since it is infinite in nature, this experiment will continue on infinitely. And that's why there are, different races, different time periods, and all this stuff's obviously happening at the same time, we're saying. And it's also mysterious because there is no current way for us as we are now to see or know what is going on, but to be aware that it is all happening. Questioner: could you tell me how the individualized portion of intelligent infinity created our galaxy? Another inaudible piece. That the same portion created our planetary system, and if so, how this came about? I am wrong. We may have misperceived your query. We were under the distortion impression that we had responded to this particular query. Would you restate the query? Questioner: primarily then, how shall we say, the planetary system that we are in now evolved? Was it all created at once? Or was there first our sun created and this inaudible, you could probably say system, planets or whatever was created? I am wrong. The process is from the larger in your illusion to the smaller. So saying because we experience time as a line, it was larger to smaller. Thus, the co-creator, individualizing the galaxy, created energy patterns which then focused into multitudinous focuses of further conscious awareness of intelligent infinity. Thus, the solar system of which you experience inhabitation is of its own patterns, rhythms, and so-called natural laws which are unique to itself. However, the progression is from the galaxy spiraling energy to the solar spiraling energy, to the planetary spiraling energy, to the experiential circumstances of spiraling energy which begin the first density of awareness or consciousness of planetary entities. So what I just said. The galaxy created the sun, created the planets, created the creatures and nature on the planet. Questioner: could you tell me about this first density of planetary entities? Ra: I am Ra. Each step recapitulates the infinite or the intelligent infinity in its discovery of awareness. In a planetary environment, all begins in what you would call chaos. Energy undirected and random in its infinity. Slowly, in your terms of understanding, there forms a focus of self-awareness. Thus the logos moves. The light comes to form the darkness according to the co-creator's patterns and vibratory rhythms, so constructing a certain type of experience. This begins with first density, which is the density of consciousness, the mineral and water life upon the planet, learning from fire and wind the awareness of being. This is first density. Questioner: does this first density then progress to greater awareness? Ra: the spiraling energy, which is a characteristic of what you call light, moves in straight line spiral, thus giving spirals an inevitable vector upwards to a more comprehensive beingness with regards to intelligent infinity. Thus, first-dimensional beingness strives towards the second density lessons of a type of awareness which includes growth rather than dissolution or random change. So it seems to me like this is more saying existence inherently is spiraling upwards. We are all waveforms of light in different densities, right? But everything constantly spiraling upward, that's where things evolve to different levels of consciousness. Questioner, could you define what you mean by growth? Ra, I am Ra. Picture, if you will, the difference between first vibrational material, or water life, and the lower second density beings, which begin to move about within and upon its being. This movement is the characteristic of second density, the striving towards light and growth. Question. By striving toward light, what do you mean? Ra. I am Ra. A very simplistic example of second density growth striving towards light is that of the leaf striving towards the source of light. Leaves in plants and trees reach towards the sun. That's where their life source is. That's where they, the chlorophyll and all that stuff happens. It is an example that is perceivable to us in our understanding. Questioner. Is there any physical difference between first and second density? For instance, if I could see a second density planet and a first density planet side by side in my present condition, could I see both of them? Would they be both visible? I am Ra. This is correct. All of the octave of your densities would be clearly visible were not the fourth through the seventh freely choosing not to be visible. It's kind of a key note. Fourth through seventh density chooses to not be visible. I'm assuming that starts leaning into the concepts of infringing on free will, because these higher densities have a lot of answers already, or a lot of questions, a lot of problems already solved, and they work more in what we could consider the spiritual realm, with the lower density, more physical experiences. Questioner. Then how does the second density progress to the third? I am Ra. The second density strives towards the third density, which is the density of self-consciousness or self-awareness. This is the density we're in, right? Well, we're in, and we're transitioning in the fourth. The striving takes place through the higher second density forms who are invested by third density beings with an identity to the extent that they become self-aware mind-body complexes, thus becoming mind-body-spirit complexes and entering third density, the first density of consciousness of spirit. So this is where Earth has been in for quite a while. We are still inhabiting third density bodies, but we have become spiritual and aware that there is more. And that's one of the big portions of why I feel so driven to put this out here, and I've been pulled to continue to do this project to try to help get the awareness out there of what's going on, because if we don't continue to get the awareness out there, there's going to be a lot of there already is going to be a lot of craziness and wild things going on, but the more people that are aware of more of life, the better. Questioner. What is the density level of our planet Earth at this time? Ra. I actually just kind of mentioned this. I am Ra. The sphere upon which you dwell is third density in its beingness of mind, body, spirit complexes. It is now in a space-time continuum, fourth density. This is causing a somewhat difficult harvest, a transition period. Questioner. How does a third density planet become fourth density? Ra. I am Ra. This will be the last full question. The fourth density is, as we have said, as regularized, in its approach as the striking of a clock upon the hour. The space-time of your solar system has enabled this planetary sphere to spiral into space-time of a different vibrational configuration. This causes the planetary sphere to be able to be molded by these new distortions. However, the thought forms of your people during this transition period are such that the mind-body-spirit complexes of both individual and societies are scattered throughout the spectrum, instead of being able to grasp the needle, shall we say, and point the compass in one direction. So this is saying the levels of consciousness with the peoples around the world are so all over the place that we can't, as a whole, direct towards a certain conclusion. Thus, the entry into the vibration of love, sometimes called by your people the vibration of understanding, is not effective with the present societal complex. Thus, the harvest shall be such that many will repeat the third density cycle. The energies of your wanderers, your teachers, and your adepts at this time are all bent upon increasing the harvest. However, there are few to harvest at that time. At that time in our understanding, because remember, everything's happening all at once. So, that's kind of the end of the main things. We're going to go through the end here. Questioner. I would like to apologize for asking sometimes wrong or inappropriate questions. It's difficult sometimes to ask precisely the right question. I don't wish to go over any ground that we've already covered. I notice this period is slightly shorter than previous periods. Is there a reason for this? This is where we get into some interesting things about the process that's happening itself. I am Ra. This instrument's vital energy is somewhat low. Questioner. I am assuming from this that it would be a good idea not to have another session today. Is this correct? I am Ra. It is well to have a session later if it is acceptable that we monitor this instrument and cease using it when it becomes low in the material which we take from it. We do not wish to deplete this instrument. Carla. Questioner. This is always acceptable in any session. I will ask my final question. Is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or facilitate these communications? I am Ra. It is well. Each is most conscientious. Continue in the same. Is there any other short query? Questioner. Tom Flaherty will be here this evening and will be helping in the evening session. Is this alright? I am Ra. This is correct. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one Creator. Adonai. So that, my friends, was session 13 of the Raw Contact. A lot of things getting into the creation and kind of the way creation works, how the universe functions as a whole, getting into the concepts about, again, the infinite Creator. Goes by many names: universe, God, Allah, Ilah, Elohim. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. And that's the big thing, is they're all the same. What's happened is manipulation and distortion and abuse, miscommunications, people taking advantage of others with this information, trying to get things out of them. There's all kinds of things that come from this. And that's where a lot of the religions that exist currently don't really work with the Creator. I mean, yes, everything works with and for creation. We're all here and exist for a reason. But if there's anything that isn't love, it is not the positive understanding of it. And that's okay. Earth is going through the transition into fourth density positive, which is good in our understanding. Was a hard fight, and it's going to be a hard fight. There's a lot of things that are going to change, and the time will come. May or may not be in your lifetime or mine, but that's okay. Because if you've progressed enough on your own, you will be reincarnated into a fourth density experience or a high third density experience, whatever it may be. And it may or may not be on this Earth. It may be on another dimensional Earth. It may be on a completely different planet. But this sphere is currently going through that. I would love to see it in my lifetime, of this lifetime. And I think it would be rad. Do I expect it to? No. I know it's happening. But will this body, will this experience of me, my higher self coming down to this level be around for it? I don't know. But, we'll all know eventually. And we're all going to get to the point where we all know all of our past lives and everything that's happened, and we'll all come together and it'll be lovely. Because you see how lovely it is now when positive beings come together just in this existence. Now imagine, if you can, what it would be like in higher levels of existence and consciousness. So, thank you all for watching and listening. As always, the links will be in the description for everything we discussed. And if you want to learn anything else about what's going on, definitely check out LNL Research. You can obviously look at Aaron Apke's stuff. He's strayed recently about just doing a lot of Law of One stuff. He's doing his own things. He's got a lot going on. LNL Research is still doing a lot. You can go there. You can see the material as it is in its form. You can buy the books. You can buy the audio books. I believe they have some merchandise available as well, which would be cool. It is all, as far as I'm aware, still very non-profit. It is a thing that they do for the purpose of getting this information out there. And like I said, they're still channeling to this day. So it's all very cool. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're on the podcast, spread the love. My name's Aaron for Tatanka Enterprises, and this has been the Rawcast, Session 13. Much love.